Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
As lawmakers address a conservative budget for the next fiscal year, Senator McCreadie says it's up to senators to also keep expenses down, especially in the legislative branch.
We don't have the cash.
And just as he intended, McCreadie introduced his amendment to prohibit legislative travel at the taxpayer's expense. He says in the last term, nearly $112,000 was spent on travel expenses. For this current term, as of December, senators have spent more than $86,000 so far.
And so when someone asks, what's the rationale behind this? It's in the number. I'm not smart enough to lie here. I'm not smart enough to pull the wool over some of the eyes of some of the senators here.
He says as senators consider where to make budget cuts, they need to start with cutting costs of the legislature first and lead by example. McCreadie says he hasn't seen work done to show that our taxpayers are getting their money's worth on these government-funded trips.
14th Annual Native Hawaiian Convention. From Hawaii. And with all due respect, I'm not worried about the Native Hawaiians. I'm worried about the Native Chamorros.
Republican Senator Jim Espaldon, however, says prohibiting travel isn't a wise decision.
Sometimes we do need to go and meet these people who have the ability to make decisions on our behalf, for the betterment on our behalf, and look at them straight in the eye and speak with them with the sincerity of our heart to drive home the point.
He adds the ban on travel would not only isolate but shut off interpersonal communication with others. Tourism Oversight Chair Senator Tina Muñoz-Barnes, meanwhile, says prohibiting travel takes away opportunities to bring in new resources, including more visitors.
If we do not make a presence, there are other governments and agencies out there who are fighting for the same tourist industry dollars that we are fighting for just to bring the visitors in.
As for Democratic Senator Tom Atta, he questioned why just single out the legislature, but instead apply the amendment to the rest of the government. He accused McCreadie of pandering to the electorate just as the primary election is set for this weekend.
The electorate always has needed a dog to kick. That has always been the legislature.
Point of personal privilege, Mr. Chair.
No, wait a minute. I didn't say anything about you.
I introduced this bill last year.
Senators, please.
And so it seems that, you know, so in my mind, I'm wondering, is this a pandering to the voters bill or amendment? Or are we really concerned about reducing the expenses to the government?
We should note the McCreadie amendment is identical to his Bill 207 introduced late last year, but that never even made it out of committee or on session floor. According to a travel report for the 33rd Guam legislature provided by the Committee on Rules, Senator Tom Atta was the top traveler. You and I paid over $14,000 for him to travel to attend a national workshop on transportation and public-private partnerships in Boston, Massachusetts, as well as a transportation conference in San Francisco, California. Speaker Judy Wampat spent almost $13,000 of your money to attend a summit on education in San Francisco, a conference in Hawaii on militarization in the Pacific, and a Native Hawaiian convention in New York City, to name a few. Office of Finance and Budget Director Artemio Hernandez, meanwhile, spent close to $9,000 for travel, while Senator Narissa Underwood was number 4 on the list, spending $8,400, along with Senator Rory Respicio, spending $7,500 in legislative funds to travel. The McCreadie amendment eventually failed with a vote of 5-10. Senators who voted in favor were Senators McCreadie, Frank Uggan Jr., Dennis Rodriguez Jr., Michael San Nicolas, and Narissa Underwood. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Ken Quintaniza.
Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.